What's up, fan spiriters? Your boy Mystic Jin, T Noble, and Bubbles is hiding somewhere until a true crime starts. What?
I'm here. Hello.
So exciting day today. You have the reading list. We have Jeffrey Dahmer up on the tail end of the show, and I have mixed thoughts about him as a whole. Like, we'll get into that. Gonna cover. I think we'll hold off on the top of the list till I build a solid list. And there was something that we need to talk about that's not even on the list, and that's Vessels of Hatred. I kind of slipped our mind until yesterday when we could play it. And damn, that's fun. It is story.
A lot of people were upset because there was a several-hour delay on the release of it. I'm not exactly sure when it became live, but I think it was down at least until midnight.
I'm not really sure. You told me that it was up yesterday, and I was like, all right. And then I've been balls deep in Diablo since, pretty much.
Trying out the new class.
I love how I just turned the new class into a druid light. Like I can't take the hits I could take, but damn, you're lucky if you can hit me. And any action I do does damage. Even my evade does. My damage, I do 2 different attacks with my evade. It's fucking beautiful. I'm a kid in a chocolate factory, and it's not Willy Wonka, so I'm good. Actually, though, the story's pretty dope. I'm halfway through with it. It's got a lot of fun moments. I do like a lot of the features for the Spiritborn, and I'm loving having a mercenary at my side. That's just hugely convenient.
What would be really convenient is if we had the mercenary even when we were grouped up with our friends.
Would be.
But no, we can't have that, can we? This is why we can't have nice things.
I personally, at that point, I think that they should really just add. There should be a couple of missions that require groups, but also it's just because you have a group doesn't mean it's enough. Here's a couple of other people. No, but I feel that the mercenary should probably pick you up at least once. Save me in the middle of a boss fight. That would just be convenient. Get 1 free revive from your person.
Yeah.
I get you can't have them do it all the time. Maybe put a certain condition requirement for it, but
probably a cooldown.
Not even a cooldown. It's a cooldown, but you also have to get the character. You play as the other character long enough to revive yourself. You have a timer, and if you can't do it at that point, fail.
That would be interesting,
right? It wouldn't be it would be really hard to exploit, especially against the aggro bosses.
Right. But hey, that would definitely help. You're just right there about to beat it. Maybe you're out of potions, you can't do nothing about it. Bam, die. You get picked up by your mercenary. Oh, I can finish this now.
Exactly. That's kind of how it happened with the whole the subclass quest. When I realized, hey, I can hire a mercenary, because his opening moves involved taunt, so at that point it kept everything off me long enough to get the job done, And then, there was also the fact that I misunderstood that whole quest, the whole end of that quest to begin with.
What do you mean?
Well, because I was thinking that I had to, it was the kills per se, and I was just going around killing all the things that spawned when I activated a totem.
Oh, right.
Not picking up the essence. Yeah, it was
not gonna lie. Hit the ground running on the hardest difficulty we could start with, and it was a challenge. It was progress a little slow, but I didn't get killed until I started doing the character class.
I'm actually at the point. I've hit in the point of I need to go and hit the rifts already, because I'm a god, and tier 4, at this point in time, tier 4 is really not shit. it's like Druid Light, but also keep in mind, like my Druid, I never used all the skill points just in an epic Druid. I had to do it to build up my ultimate, right? I had to sacrifice for that. So after that, like I don't have that problem here. Like everything's just committed to being a badass, and oh my god, things just stopped. Though I did get frustrated, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rest before we broadcast, and that's how I wound up napping in the middle, like of waiting on y'all to get back from dinner, which y'all didn't go do. Like I knew I should have just sent the message and let me know when you're back. We could get started right then. But we live and we learn. But Diablo 4, thus far, the expansion, I have nothing but good things to say. Like, I did notice it's been a bit laggy the last couple of days, but I also think that's due to like the people like me that got bored with I am just a god at the gate came back for the Vessels of Hatred, and like at that point it wasn't expecting all that traffic all at once.
That usually
But
after DLCs or big updates, things are a bit choppy for a week or so.
yeah, and like it's not all that bad either. It's like yeah, like it's better today than it was yesterday. Yesterday was just fucking brutal. I would be chilling, running through. I was in a hell tide. Everything would freeze, and then I'm like, oh lord. And this isn't like okay, it's my druid light. Like my druid, I just look in a direction, and death follows that direction. Like this one, I kind of have to be more precise. Like, okay, I need to aim in that direction, that direction, that direction, that direction. Okay, couple of basic resource generating hits, so I have energy that direction, and then like as soon as everything started to move again, everything was dead. But it scared me. But like you said, that's kind of expected when new shit drops.
Although I'm not going to lie, I still want, personally, I want a Crusader. Like, just give me the damn Crusader, Blizzard. Or Paladin. But just, come on.
What are you doing?
She's moving stuff.
Sorry, I was trying to get my notebook.
So I was like, like, what are y'all doing? Like, I thought we had these kind of conversations. Like, this is why when Patreon disappointed me, I didn't just decide, you know what, let's make an OnlyFans. I almost did it, though. I was like, Fanspiracy. OnlyFans.
Right.
You want to see this dick? You gotta pay way extra, though. Like, seriously, though, it's gonna be a very interesting month, to say the least. I do want to say I'm kind of disappointed in Dead by Daylight because they're doing the 2v8, but they're not doing it until November. And I'm like, guys, it's October. Let me play Who's the Better Killer with my friends, damn it. And new.
My wife will play that game, but the one person that was like, oh yeah, I'll play it with you, and then he never played it with her.
Who?
Jiko.
Oh, yeah.
Her friend's son.
My nephew.
I was like, don't be, like, I never agreed to play with anybody. Like, I've agreed to play with one friend, and even then, it's like, we'll see. Because, like I said, the killer's solo. So, and you know how I feel about being a victim. I don't do that shit. It's one of those, well, like I said, we'll see. That's why, like, that's my favorite answer to anything. We'll see. Like, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes, I'm saying we'll see. Mainly how I feel when we get to that point. However, speaking of Dead by Daylight, let's talk about the resurgence of horror as a genre in gaming. And you know what? We'll even touch in on it with the anime as well, because there's been a couple of good horror-based anime over the past few years.
I'm not really familiar with any horror anime.
You watch Telltale.
Huh?
You watch Telltale.
Oh.
Even at that, like by that right, I would consider Attack on Titan a horror-based anime.
Yeah,
Honestly, like, I would rate that as one of the most horrific animes of all time.
right. And I actually like that as a concept because I haven't really seen anything else like it.
Well, my thing is, I love, like, one of the things I love about it is everybody got so hurt when the manga ended and, like, Aaron did what he did, and I'm like, I don't think that makes him necessarily a bad guy. He just responded to the circumstances fate chose, like, handed him.
Yeah, and I think whenever he acquired the founder Titan, he kind of became under its influence from the what was it that first king.
I think he fell under that, like, because the whole thing was from the first king, it was supposed to be like balance and shit. And what Aaron did was fuck that king, fuck it, all that establishment, fuck the world, and wiped out like 80% of the population. He quite literally became the monster so powerful that the people that were demonized, his people, were the only ones that could stop. So they would be seen as heroes.
Right, and also, I mean, there is some logic to it. I mean, he made himself the villain of the world to bring the world together. I mean, they had to,
And to make his people be seen as heroes.
right.
Like, ultimately, a lot of people have a big issue with that, but I was like, bravo, that sounds like the kind of play that I would try to make. Like, the world's going shitty. These people hate us. Everybody hates us. I'm going to give them a reason to fucking hate me. And then my people are going to be, like, because of me, my people are going to have to stop me. And then everybody's going to be on my people's dicks. Please come save us, the people that we've locked up, kept away from the rest of society. Like, that's pretty much, like, what his whole plan was. It's like, guys, they call us devils. Just remember, I'm the devil, you know. All right, what's good, Earth? Humanity, I'm Aaron Yeager. I'm gonna fuck shit up. And on top of that, like, that's kind of always been, like, if I ever got diagnosed terminal and, like, I only had, like, X amount of time to live and I knew that, oh yeah, I'm doing some wild shit. Because, like, honestly, that would have been my attitude. Had I had any of the Titans, I would be like, okay, how am I going to go about this? I'm going to fuck some shit up before I'm gone. Okay. Then technically, I think Parasite falls into that category. There's a bunch of dark vampire genre ones. I would also give it to, what's it called? Castlevania.
Right. I think that had some good shows on Netflix.
Yeah, whereas Netflix does a great job at bringing new anime to the masses. I commend them on that. Stop making fucking live action adaptations unless you're gonna give it the fucking One Piece treat. Or there was another one that they did recently that I was very proud of, that I actually enjoy. Avatar. The live action Avatar was pretty good this go around. Like, they changed certain things up that didn't really affect the actual core story, but rather illuminated the core story. Like, we got information from Aang's time that we never got before. And I thought that was a nice little way to bring something new without destroying anything of the old concept, you know? Did you get to... Bro, you need to. It's fucking phenomenal.
You've given me a lot of stuff to watch. I can't keep up with it all.
my man, like, if you had watched everything that I've told you, as I told you, it wouldn't even be a lot. You have a backlog because you're like, okay, I'll get to it. And then 2 months later, I'm like, hey, man, did you ever check that out? No, I'll get to it. So, no, it's not that I give you a lot to do catch up on. It's the fact that when I give you something to do, you don't do it. You don't check it out, right? Because once you check it out, the rest could just kick in. You would just get addicted like it was crack, and then you would be watching it nonstop. All in all, that was a good one. I would love for people doing horror stuff, like horror-based shows, movies, and shit, to start dropping more of that stuff. I don't know. In October, in the Halloween season, in the horror season, you know?
So I was trying to look for something, didn't find it, and then I
Oh,
forgot
yeah.
what was the end of my search. So it was a fruitless search anyway.
Searching for something you don't know that you may never find.
I think it was a possible horror anime, but I don't remember what I was looking for.
Actually, not an anime, but a movie, and from the time, like, you remember, like, that 10-year window from, like, 95 to 2005, where we just got a bunch of wild-ass direct-to-video horror movies?
Yeah.
There was one called How to Make a Monster. I think you would get a kick out of it. The premise is this game studio is trying to make a game. They keep on falling way behind schedule, so they fire their entire team and they bring in pretty much a group, like 2 to 3 cats that don't play well with others, but they're like the best of the best of the best in game development. And then there's the intern. Like, but it's like, I'm bringing this up because like it has to play with both AI and horror. And what happens is something like a storm happens and lightning hits the building, and the AI actually becomes sentient, and it starts using like the mocap. It fills the mocap suit with shit, so it can move around and start killing everybody. It's fucking wild, man. Like, I highly recommend you check that out if you haven't. I don't think it's streaming anywhere. Like, it's one of those, like, quite literally just so I could watch it. I actually have the DVD here somewhere.
Oh, the one I was looking for is called The Promised Neverland. I don't know if it falls under horror, but it's pretty dark.
I've seen it in passing. I've never actually watched it, you know? So just on that note alone, like, I'm kind of, like, I'm going to have to give it a chance now. But I actually want to get into who had the most game. Like, we were discussing it in pre-production, and I didn't want to get too much into it because, well, I wanted it for here. I wanted it for this segment specifically. And you did bring up one of the guys that was in the top of, like, one of the people that actually has to be in the conversation. You cannot have this kind of conversation without Tenchi Muyo. Like, he did have game, but you know who else had game, my man? Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah.
See, I told you I had one for your ass. Like, the one thing...
Dante, Devil May Cry.
Yeah, like, there's just certain people that have that in.
There's
like,
another notable reference, Leon from Resident Evil.
I wouldn't say he has game so much as he gets put in circumstances where he's around beautiful women. And, like, at that point...
Yeah, but he
like,
did have the president's daughter wanting some of that.
Okay, but
Maybe not in the remake, but in the original.
Like, that was kind of more of, what's the white knight syndrome? Like,
Yeah.
transference, like, he saved her, so she saved him a slice of that pussy. Like, here you go, Leon. Mr. Kennedy. Like, Tenchi, though, to your point, had so much game, like, he didn't even try, and he had, like, every woman throughout the galaxy just throwing some at him. Like, hey, Tenchi, you want to hit it? Like, pretty, like, so much game. Like, he's got, like, Bulma level game. Turned a villain good. Like, oh, I don't want to do any more villainy. I just want some of that D, please, Mr. Tenchi. Please, I promise not to pirate anymore. Just give me some.
Makes you wonder if they ever actually got any, though.
I think Ryoko probably got some. It probably, like, she probably got everybody drunk so she could take advantage of Tenchi.
Right. without interruptions.
Yeah, because like otherwise the princess would shut that shit down real quick. Be like, no, Tenchi's mine, you fucking peasant. That is royalty for royalty. You are not worthy. Like him and Tuxedo Mask, Tuxedo Mask, I think is an interesting one because like even when he's evil, they all kind of want to give him some pussy. They're like, oh my god, he's so cute. And girls back in the day were like, oh, Tuxedo Mask. I think the black rose is even cooler than the red rose. It was some wild shit. Fucking. That's why you're supposed to look for these things before we're recording.
Well, I actually haven't thought about this particular anime in like many years, and I can only remember enough to barely search for it, and then like I'm looking for horror anime, and it's not giving me a very extensive list.
Yeah, that happens. But yeah, off the phones. Like it messes with the flow of the conversation. Like I'd be speaking to you and you'd be reading, and then you'd be like, huh? I'm sorry, I was looking something up. But we need to, like, I think we need, like, this generation hasn't had a real good harem anime of sorts. Like, mind you, it's hard to do nowadays with everybody being so overly sensitive about, like, why are all those girls over that guy? Like, yeah, that's a false perception of women. I'm like, that's a true perception of all fucking humans, damn it.
I don't know if you ever read the manga, but it was called Fairy. Do you remember what it was? The Fairy's Landing.
I've heard of it.
It's where this I can't remember much about it. I used to have most of the books, but it's one of my favorite manga. And it was about this guy who basically got himself bound to this fairy. I don't know if she was a princess or some type of royalty. And then he also got cursed with any woman that looks him in the eyes immediately falls in love with him.
That be a problem. Like, couldn't have that ability in this world. Be arrested, be like, hey, I didn't tell them to look in my eye. They looked in my eye, officer. I'm the victim here. I don't want this person in love with me. But speaking of, I figure let's hit DBZ talk, and then we'll move on into the true crime. But both Daima and Sparking Zero hitting this week. And then, well, Daima will also be Netflix next week, which I'm kind of excited about being able to watch Dragon Ball on Netflix rather than anywhere else. But like, it's not a problem now because nowhere that I watch shit has commercials in it. Because fuck commercials.
Yeah, I remember when Hulu only had 10, 15, maybe 20-second commercials. Now look, they're fucking 90 seconds.
I remember
when Hulu only had Dragon Ball Z Kai and not fucking actual Dragon Ball Z. It's like, I want all the extra shit. Like, who asked for this shit? Like, who the fuck asked for some Kai ass shit?
It's not bad.
It's not what I want.
Well, we all know the filler was mostly made because they were, just trying to. Either he couldn't think of anything, or he was just trying to buy time till he could think of something better.
Well, some of it wasn't even filler. Some of it was actual in the whole direct arcs, and it's just like, we're gonna shorten this shit because time.
I think the original Z was like 300 or 400 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. They were good episodes too. Fucking, but I'm stoked for like less than 24 hours, brother. Like, it's going down. Like anybody that's gonna like, I'm not even gonna have my phone that's in service anywhere near me. Like if you ain't if you ain't one of the like, if you ain't you or Schizo or one of the boys, you kind of fucked getting a hold of me over the next couple of days. Unless you have a direct line to me, and it's what like I decide I like you enough to look at my phone. I'm going back to fucking 2006. I didn't have a cell phone then. I'm gonna be. It's just gonna be me, my TV, my PlayStation, and DBZ.
Yeah, those were the good old days. Sit around with a group of us,
And
with
a
a group
fat
of
ass
people.
blunt.
Yep, kicking everybody's ass.
I remember when they dropped the one that introduced Sonic Sway, and
Yeah, that was
me
fun.
and Michael figured it out before everybody else, and then we just wouldn't tell anybody. Like, we didn't tell
I know,
anybody.
assholes. Y'all wouldn't tell me. But I still fuck y'all up, though.
You didn't need to know. You already had the most spammy character there was. That's
Super
the only
Saiyan
reason.
Gogeta was
That's
the
why
most spammy character.
we didn't tell you, is because yo spammy ass did not need it. And then you just got like so frustrated after a number of weeks that we were like, we should probably at least tell Travis. Like, I think he's gonna like try to murder us in our sleep. He might throw you out, Michael. Like, who knows what's gonna happen here, bro? We need to throw him a bone. Actually, you should probably run to like. Speaking of, like, I think you would like the smoothness of Lars.
Oh, what?
Lars and Tekken.
Oh, he's still a sick character?
He is one of the actual main important characters in everything going on. Nigga saved Jin.
Lars is pretty cool.
Save Jin so Jin can save everybody. Fucking, it was a pretty, like, the last two stories have been pretty brutal. And again, kudos to Namco for the whole free DLC. That's the only reason I'm not bitching about not getting early access, even though I pre-ordered. I feel that's class punishment right there. Punishing us poor folk for not having the extra $40 to $60 to give you for fucking a pre-order. Disrespectful and sacrilege.
That's why if we can't have pre-access, they shouldn't either. Let everybody learn the hard way together.
Apparently, I have been hearing that Grade 8 Vegeta's been fucking everybody.
Who?
Grade 8 Vegeta?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then I heard that the developer came out and said, well, a win's a win. Just lower the difficulty and try it again. And everybody's, and the more hardcore people are like, the fuck? Like, nah, we gonna beat this guy's ass. Like, I'm inclined to test it out myself. Like,
no, like that's my thought. Get good.
I don't know if there's a difficulty system or just one difficulty.
Well, no. Obviously, it has a difficulty system. The developer said lower the difficulty. Yeah. Like, but we need to get out of this thing of like, oh my god, it's too hard. It's not too hard. You're just fucking don't want to put any effort into a game. Like, I get, yes, games are supposed to be fun, but they're not just mindless fun. It's supposed to challenge us. It's supposed to take us to our limits in certain aspects.
Right. So, and the grade 8 was always difficult, even in the Tenkaichi games. Like, if you were playing in the multiplayer, it was a different story because you could play with the characters you wanted. But through the campaign, it was a little difficult beating the grade 8 Vegeta. Gohan wasn't as hard, but grade 8 Vegeta was just a pain. And apparently,
that's why our group was so perfect. Like, we when we had to go through the campaign, we knew exactly what to do. It's like, oh, Goku, T Europe. Like, we had people for every play style that was needed.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go into that, and I'm not whoop that grade. Like, I'm gonna beat that grade 8's ass. You know what? I'm gonna kick the difficulty the fuck up. I'm gonna kick that great ape's ass. I'm gonna record it and I'm gonna put it up for you fucking people. The fan spiriters, so y'all know it can be done.
I
Fucking
wonder how many
monkeys.
difficulties they're giving us.
10.
Right.
The final one, Ultra Instinct. You better have it.
Right. Got to be doing perfect moves and shit.
You better know what the computer's about to do before it's about to do it. Fucking that's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's see, where are we? From regular access. We're a little under 20 hours away, and I am excited. Oh, and by this the time these people hear this, will already be balls deep in this shit. But that being said, I think it's about time to move on to our true crime segment. Get that 30-minute, get 30 minutes in on that. Let everybody see about good old Jeffrey D. instead of Sandra D.
Give me one second.
You've had a second.
Bite me.
It's about 10 now.
Bite me.
Travis, I'm not there. Go ahead, bro.
My nose is stopped up.
That has nothing to do with your biting capability.
Okay. So, what's up, everyone? My name is Bubbles, and today we are going to talk about the notorious Jeffrey Dahmer. I do want to first say that reviewing all of the information that I did, it was very, very disturbing. So, if you do have a queasy stomach, I would highly recommend, not listening to this because it is going to get pretty gory. So, where would you like me to start?
That's what the source material that we gave for that.
Okay, so I have multiple different resources. One was the three-part series on Netflix, and another one was on biography.com, and then the other ones that I found were on YouTube. That sounded weird. So let's see. First of all, Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May 21st of 1960 and then moved to Ohio in 1966. Both of his parents, his dad was a scientist and was gone a lot from his childhood. His mother did suffer from depression as well as his father. And there was a lot of, once his younger brother was born, he became more of a loner because all of the attention went to his younger brother. So that didn't help at all. When he was younger, he had a fascination with like dead insects, finding the bones of a dead rabbit, dog, whatever animal he could find. And he actually ended up having a collection in a shed that was on his property that he would keep like a display of all the animal bones that he would find. And that is where his curiosity of the inside of a human body would look like. He actually said that one day he went fishing and he caught a fish. And he was curious as to what the fish looked like on the inside. So he decided to take it back to the shed and proceeded to cut the fish open. And his friend questioned him and said, like, bro, what the hell are you doing? And he was like, look at it. Isn't it beautiful? And that was the only response that he gave. So that right there, I feel, was like the start of his curiosity. So that that was very disturbing. He also said that he knew by the time he was 13 that he was a homosexual, which that's something I didn't know. As many times as I've watched the documentaries, I never knew that. Let's see. His first victim was Stephen Hicks, and he was a hitchhiker who was going to a concert, and he picked him up and told him that he had alcohol and, the gardening stuff back at home if he wanted to join him. Stephen Hicks said yes. He went over to his house, and Jeffrey Dahmer said that he did not want him to leave. It's not that he had a hatred towards this Stephen Hicks. he did not want him to leave. He was obsessed with his body. So because of that, and when Stephen Hicks, said that he had to leave, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't like that. And he said that at that moment, he made the decision to knock him unconscious. So the way that he knocked him unconscious was he picked up a barbell, almost a dumbbell, whatever, and he struck him in the back of the head, which rendered him unconscious. Now, while Stephen Hicks was unconscious, he did perform sexual activities on him. He did lay with the body. And when Stephen Hicks started to wake up, and he knew at that moment, once he started to wake up, that he was going to want to leave. So at that moment, he decided to take the barbell and strangle him. Now, after he strangled Stephen Hicks, he actually took the body down into the basement of his home. He said that he kept the body there for, I believe it was 6 hours, and then he decided to dismember the body and put it into trash bags. Well, on the way to him, disposing of said bags, he actually got pulled over by a police officer. Police officer came up, was going to give him a ticket for crossing the median, and as any good cop should do, he took his flashlight, looked in the car. Well, when he did that, he seen the 5 bags of these trash bags. Proceeded to ask Mr. Dahmer what these were, and he said that that his parents, had divorced and they were moving out, and this was just trash that he was taking to the dump. The cop didn't even question it and let him go. At that moment, that is when Jeffrey Dahmer knew that he could get away with unaliving someone and getting away with it, because he did not get caught, and he was your average white male. He did not look threatening. He did not seem like he was a threat to anybody. And even though his first 2 victims were of Caucasian descent, the rest of his victims, the other 15 victims, were all of different race. They were Hispanic and Black. And I personally believe it hasn't been proved, but there's a lot of theories that say that the reason that he went after different minorities was because they would not, with him being, a white male living in a Black neighborhood and going after the colored people, he would not be a suspect because he was your average looking Joe. People back then didn't look at white people as a threat. So
I think it comes down to one simple fact.
It comes down to what?
One simple fact. He wasn't preferential about his victims because he didn't care. Like
no,
the only prerequisite was good looking. Like
exactly.
Race wasn't even a factor in his deciding factor. Like
right.
Didn't compute to him. He saw like a 6-pack. Oh yeah, I want to be all up on that.
Yes. Now he did have a preferred figure. The figure that he did prefer was a muscular toned man, but his problem was he said that there was no trauma in his childhood growing up. But if you look back at his childhood, both of his parents suffered from depression. His dad was gone a lot. Once his brother was born, he basically got pushed to the side. He was alone. He
didn't have trauma. He said he didn't suffer sexual abuse.
Right, correct. But there was, in my personal opinion, there was mental and emotional abuse.
Oh, no, like that was never denied. But like the thing that they wanted to point out is, unlike most sexual serial killers, he wasn't abused as a child. Like,
correct.
But like Jeffrey Dahmer as a serial killer as a whole is not like most of them.
Exactly, he's not, because with Jeffrey Dahmer, he actually went from the time that he unalived Stephen Hicks, he actually went 9 years without unaliving anyone else. And that is very strange for a serial unaliver because it's with them.
Okay, stop saying unalive. Like, we're a grown-up podcast. We can say the real words here.
Well, I'm live on TikTok, so I have to.
Then don't be on TikTok.
Yeah,
this is a grown-up production.
If I get banned,
we don't sugarcoat shit.
But anyways, so most serial killers, once they start, they don't stop. There was a 9-year gap, and during that 9-year gap, he tried going to church. He wasn't participating in any of the gay sexual activity because he was being told that what he was doing was wrong. So he was trying to make things right. Well, his second victim, his second victim was, so he did claim that his second victim, which his name was Stephen Taromi, claimed that killing was not planned. He went out, met him, brought him back, and he ended up giving him sleeping medicine, and he apparently blacked out from alcohol. And when he woke up that following morning, he found Stephen Tuomi, dead in his bed. And didn't know what happened. He was like, he seen blood coming out of his mouth. He didn't know what happened. But he said at that moment, he realized that he had to dispose of the body, so he stuffed him into a suitcase, took it down had the bellhop help him carry the bag down, and got it into a taxi. The taxi driver was joking. He was like, man, this is a really heavy suitcase. What do you have in there, a body? And Jeffrey Dahmer, he wasn't joking. He was like, yeah, actually I do. And they both laughed it off. So that was sign number 2. And it was just really weird because he said at that moment, once he disposed of that body, it was like something came over him and it was like he had no control over himself. He wanted more. He wanted the thrill. And he claims that the reason why he did all these killings was because he wanted the companionship. He wanted the complete control, because everyone that he was bringing in was leaving him. He didn't want that. Sorry, I was trying to spray my cat. But let's see. No. So, okay. So I also found out, let's see.
Like, the thing that irks me the most about that whole docuseries is when the reporters talk about getting into the house and he describes everything he sees, and it's like, oh, it's all pretty normal. But that lava lamp just makes it look like a murderer's house. I'm like, what the fuck?
When he said that, I was like, a lava lamp of all things. Like I would be.
This was in the 90s. Like, this was in the part of the 90s where those were still cool. So I don't know how the fuck he just leapt to like, oh, this is a killer's house because of fucking lava lamp.
Lava lamp, an orange lava lamp of all things.
Like, I was just like, bro, out of all the things,
right? Of all the things,
really?
What I thought.
So he did. I did not know this, but Jeffrey Dahmer had been arrested multiple times for exposing himself. And it really upsets me because two or three of his victims were under the age of 18. One was 13 and one was 14. I know that for a fact. But he was arrested for exposing himself to a group of children. I'm good. How are you? So, I did not know that. As many times as I have watched documentaries on Jeffrey Dahmer, I never knew that he was arrested for exposing himself to a group of children. And that really, really, really upset me.
One of the things I've always found fascinating about Jeffrey Dahmer is, like we said, he's not like all the rest. And, like, ultimately, the biggest takeaway from him, like, because there have been others that have gone, like, long periods of time without killing. The thing that really sets him out, he doesn't, like, he wanted to know why.
Right.
He didn't deny. He admitted there's something broken in me. Figure out why.
Exactly. And that's
That
all.
that
And after he was arrested, that's exactly what he kept telling everybody who was talking to him. He was like, look, I just want to know why. I want to know what is wrong with me. And most serial killers, they don't say that. They're just
they
like,
don't
look, I
care.
know. They don't care. They're like, yeah, I know. You think I'm crazy, whatever.
Like
But
some of them
they
are
actually,
aware what they're doing is wrong. They just don't care. The others care, or like they don't want to be seen as doing wrong, so they deny. And then
exactly.
there's like, oh yeah, I did it. Fuck it, I'll do it again. Let me get me out there. Let me do some more.
Right.
Like there's
Well,
the types of serial killers, but like in this, like aside from like actually this goes beyond even Kim. Like Jeffrey Dahmer wanted to know what's wrong with him. Kim just knew something was wrong with him, and he was willing to help others. Like he was willing to help law enforcement trying to figure out. He didn't care that he was broken per se. He was
right.
intellectually fascinated with it.
Right.
But
And
Jeffrey Dahmer wanted help, like
right.
legitimate help. And like I
Yeah.
think that, like in a way, I think society failed everybody when they put him in a prison.
We'll see when he okay, so let's back up to when he did go to prison. So he was arrested for sexual assault on a 13-year-old boy. And when he went to prison for that, the judge gave him the opportunity to do a work program. So he was able to leave the prison, go to work during the day, and then return to the prison at night and stay there overnight, which I didn't know was a thing, but okay.
Yeah, like work release has been a thing for ages.
Yeah, well,
Except
I
that
didn't.
you like before, like the earlier work release was the chain gang. Like you get taken out, you get to go work for a bit, you get some extra grub at home.
Right.
Now it's evolved into a lot more of okay, you can go work in this. Like if you have certain skills, you can go work at places. Like
Yeah,
at that point, you.
Me personally, I just didn't think that with him, having the charges and being labeled as a what do they call it? A sex offender, I did not think that they would let him, go out and get a job and leave the prison during the day, because while he was in prison, actually a couple months leading up to him getting sentenced, he ended up killing another victim. So when he was, let's see, either or the kid wasn't from here, so he knew that. Yeah. So I have a friend on here saying that either the kid wasn't even from here or he knew that he was an easy target, which goes back to my point that he went after
Like he was what's the word? Opportunistic predator.
Right. So on the documentary that I was watching on Netflix, he was talking with an attorney named Wendy Patricks, and she ended up recording over 32 hours of conversations with him to prepare for his defense. Now, these conversations took place from July of 1991 to October of 1991. During these conversations, he actually said that he started to fantasize about these killings before he would do them. And he said at that point, he knew that he couldn't stop. So, let's see. So let's back up to when he was in high school. That's when he started drinking a lot. And even though he graduated, he basically graduated by the skin of his teeth, basically. But he would, in school, because he didn't have any friends, he sought attention. And there was a lot of times that he would fake epileptic seizures and he would act erratically to get attention from his fellow classmates. And because of that, he was made fun of a lot. People would actually pay him to go to the mall and act out these epileptic fits in front of everybody to get a reaction, which I personally think is horrible. I think that right there is just completely out of it. But in 1988,
Let's go to show that like my big thing about any any of the big, like, no serial criminals, like rapists, killers, is okay. Take away the at-home sexual abuse. He did have the bull, like you said, he does have other types of traumas that even without those traumas, like, because them paying him to go doing that was a form of bullying. Let's be real about that. They got, like, yeah, they gave him money, but they were getting their laughs at it. They were laughing at him, not with him at that.
Exactly. And
that leaves scarring, and it with his scarring on top of that, the fact that he needed to feign sickness is something that, like, at that point, the school should have been like, bro, what, like
what are you doing?
Like, yeah, like now we would, like, there would be more questioning. Like, we evolved since then,
right?
But these are, like, when we know someone's lying about something, and, like, and they're doing it for attention, we need to, like, those are early onset, especially the people that can lie convincingly. Like, you believe that lie,
right? And,
like, that's early onset sociopathy 101.
Exactly. And, and one thing that, that when I was watching this, it said that his dad sent him because after he graduated, his mom just grabbed his brother and up and left him there at the house. His dad was living in a hotel. His dad had no clue. Jeffrey did not tell his dad that he was there by himself. So Jeffrey took that opportunity, and that is when he committed his first crime of killing Stephen Hicks. And
actually, did you watch this docuseries with T with you?
With the what?
Was T with you when you watched this? Because Troyomi, or the other victim,
Stephen Taromi.
Yeah, Taromi. That's such a cool name. Yeah. Fucking Dahmer, you robbed a man with a cool name of a fucking healthy life. You're a jerk for that. But no, if you like next recording studio, I'll actually pull a picture of him up because he looks exactly like someone me and T used to know back in the day. He looks like our friend John Michael. Like, when that picture came, I was like, what the hell? Like, I was like, John wasn't even born then.
So you have, y'all have John Michael that looks like Jeffrey Dahmer, and then you have Nick, who, when his hair is long,
not like Dahmer, like Dahmer's victim.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. Oh.
He looks like the victim. Like, the victim freaked me out because I was like, what the hell?
So, we're gonna fast forward. In 1989, he had the victim Tony Sears, and he strangled him. He was also the very first victim, and it was very hard for me to watch this part and hear this part because Tony Sears was the very first victim that not only did he keep the skull of him, he also kept his genitals. And he kept the head in a barrel of acetone at his grandmother's house. I believe it was either in the I think it was in the basement that he kept that, or up in his room, one of the two. And then he kept the genitals. Just take a wild guess at where he kept those. Mind you, he's still working at a chocolate factory from the work release program.
Yeah, but I don't remember. But, like, I do remember they kept on referring to them as desiccated genitals. And the entire time they said that, I was like, desiccated nuts would be an epic horrorcore album.
Yeah. So he ended up keeping the genitals of Tony Sears in his locker at the chocolate factory. That way nobody could find them.
I'm surprised nobody did find them.
Exactly. I'm like, how did that not begin to smell? So
stanky dead nuts.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Talk about rancid and raunchy at the same time.
Exactly. So 2 of his victims actually were brothers. The victim that he sexually assaulted was actually the victim of Conrad. I don't even know how to say his name. Cynthia Samathone. I don't want to butcher that.
Yeah.
But when
he already did. I would have too.
I probably already did. And I'm so sorry to the family. Please forgive me. So this Conrack was actually the victim. It was one of his victims murdered, but it was the brother of the victim that he sexually assaulted that he actually got put in prison for. And Jeffrey did not know that at the time until he was actually arrested and they actually told him that that was the brother of the sexual assault victim. So when Tony Sears, when he started doing because he put, like I said, he put it in acetone, that was when he started, contemplating, how to dispose of the bodies without making it obvious, I guess is the best way. So he started putting the victims in a barrel that contained acid after he would boil their skin off. I'm sorry, this is like really brutal. Bruder. But
haunted house, first and longest job, like it's walking apart.
Right. So he started putting, after he would boil their skin off, he would put the bones in the barrel of acid, which caused the bones to turn into a mush. And then he proceeded to, they asked him, they said, okay, well, after it turned to mush, how did you dispose of it? He goes, I would just scoop it out with the ladle and pour it into the toilet and flush it. So there's people's mushy bones, moving through the sewers at this point.
Oh, God.
Well, not anymore. Like, it's sorely gone to a tank by now.
Yeah, but...
No, but cities will do the sewer filtration, and that goes back to the refiltration of dirty water.
He was born in 1960.
Yeah, but toilet water generally it doesn't go where the rest of the water of the house goes to when it's sent its waste.
That's why it's sanitation. They sanitize it. I don't know. They may not still do it, but I'm pretty sure they did that at one time.
Well, no. Some of them do, but the toilet goes somewhere else, is what I'm trying to explain to you, babe. Like the sink water, your sink, your bath water, like all that generally goes through like a process of redoing stuff. But your toilet generally goes to a septic tank of sorts now.
Yeah,
it goes to its own its own line.
The septic systems. When you live in the city, you don't exactly have septic systems. You're connected to the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. You have a septic line though. There are septic lines that go to a specific part. Like there is the return to sender part of the tube, and then there's get this shit the fuck out of here tube.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Toilets generally go out of here too.
I wouldn't put it past them that they would cleanse the water and reuse it.
Right.
Because we have chemicals.
Yeah, no. But like at that point, the cleansing, like at that point, it's stopping stuff like goop and shit, and then it's cleansing and filtering from there. Like the goop and shit's out of the first thing.
But still, But anyways, we're not going to talk about that part. So after, I'm not sure if anybody knew this, but after he graduated, his dad actually enlisted him into the Army. So while Jeffrey was in the Army, he actually got discharged because his drinking was affecting his performance. So he was discharged, and he actually lived on the beaches of Florida for about a month before returning back home.
You know how badly you have to be a fucking alcoholic to be kicked out of the fucking military, though? Like, exactly. You people have to understand, like, the military is chock full of alcoholics. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this is a bad, like, they go through a lot of shit. They're allowed to, they've earned their drink as far as I'm concerned. But the point is, they drink, like, the term cursing and drinking like a fucking sailor is for a reason.
Exactly.
Like, so for this man to be kicked out of the Army, and like he was only in for a couple of months, right?
I know he went to the university for 3 months. I think he was in the Army it was less than a year.
Yeah, like there wasn't like a whole lot, like So to be kicked out in under a year for your drinking, that's
right. That's pretty damn bad. So once he moved back to Wisconsin, he wanted to be on his own. So he was staying at his grandmother's house, but he was also frequent to the gay bars and to the gay bathhouses, because bathhouses were very, very popular during that time. Well, Jeffrey Dahmer, the bathhouses that he would go to, he actually got banned from all of the bathhouses in the gay community because he was still drugging people to where, as he said, he could just lay with them because he didn't want them to go. So one of the people that he drugged, when he tried to wake them up, it was very hard to wake them up. And the owner of the bathhouse came in, had to call 911, and the police came, and they were like, look, what are you going to do? He was like, look, just, kick him out. We'll let the other bathhouses know, to keep an eye out, and don't let him in. If he returns, give us a call. That right there.
Yeah, that is the first failure of the police, actually, exactly. In my opinion. The getting stopped and looking and seeing trash bags, that, he can't press past that point, actually.
Right.
But, you have a man drugging and raping people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit of, that is a failure on the police, but, that's also a sign of the times, because, that was still in the stigma of men can't be raped, as they like to point out in the documentary. Exactly. But I don't think that was actually, I think that had less to do with it and more to do with the fact that it was the gay community and the cops.
Exactly. Yes, because at that time, a lot of people looked down upon the gay community. It's not like how it is now, how it's so, free. It's not so freely accepted. Back then, it was looked down upon, and they were like, okay, well, the cops were actually told to stop harassing the gay community. So therefore they took it as, kind of backing off. Exactly. They didn't want to.
They don't exist anymore. They were treated being gay was like being in a gang. Not our problem, not our occupation. Y'all go ahead and take care of yourselves.
Right. But it was more so of the fact that the gay community felt that they were being disrespected by the cops. So the cops were told to stop disrespecting them and giving them more respect. So when these incidents happened, and they did not, at this time, they didn't think, a man can be raped. They didn't think that. So they didn't think nothing of it. And they did not want to offend the community. So therefore, nothing was done. So that was strike one against the cops. The second strike was when he started trying to do lobotomy, because he was trying to do I guess you would say, a sex zombie. He wanted to be in full control. That was his whole thing of the drugging and the killing of them, was he wanted to be in full control. He did not want them to leave. He wanted them to stay with him forever. Now, he was questioned by different attorneys and different doctors. Look, why did you do why did you do what you did? Because he eventually got to the point that he was splitting open their torso. And this part really disgusts me. But he started splitting open their torso, and he would actually have sex with the corpse through the torso. And then he would start removing organs. And
they a new meaning to a gut full of cum.
Whole new meaning. So
sorry, people, I tell y'all, I'm not a nice person. I'm not a good person. It sucks for these people, but I'm sorry. If there's a moment for a joke, I'm going to make it.
And they questioned whether this man was insane or if he was sane. And they found him sane. Now, the state of Milwaukee made the comment, how many people does one person need to kill and eat before they are considered insane? Because they found him sane.
That's a very fair question.
The only reason they found him sane was because he admitted to what he did. He said he knew what he was doing was wrong, and he kept continuing to do it.
Exactly.
Which no. But right there, that in itself is fucking insane.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. How many? And I totally agree with the state of with the city of Milwaukee. How many people does one person have to consume and kill in order for you to be considered as criminally insane?
Like, no, and like, here's the thing again that I go back to. He actually didn't even want an insane. Like, he just wanted fucking out. Like, he wasn't thinking about getting away with the crime at all. He was thinking, I want help. I want to be a normal fucking human.
Exactly.
And like that, like, if we had put him, like, I'm not saying, like, I'm saying that we need to bring back, like, criminally, mentally institutions. Not the fact that you're, like, going to an institution to, like, okay, you're criminal, like, you're going to do your time, but we're going to fix you while you're doing your time. And then, you know what? A few decades down the line, maybe we integrate you back into society. Maybe we don't. But you'll live like a normal, you'll be able to, like, he was really at war with himself. I would say a lot of the biggest root of his whole compulsion to kill was his repression of who he was.
Right. But when everything went to trial, the jury they had to decide on two different things. One, if he was, what his sentence should be, and two, if they found him insane or sane. All 15 of the jurors found him sane, and all 15 of the jurors said that he needed to serve life. Now, the reason they said that they claimed him to be sane was those three reasons, but if they had a claim that he was insane and he went to a mental institution, he had the possibility of being released within years. If he went to prison, he was never getting out because he was serving multiple life sentences.
Yeah, but no, that's why I was saying that had they put him in a mental institute instead of jail, but
right.
At a minimum, hit him, he can't get out before 10, 15 years.
Right.
We want to make sure that we have fixed the fucking problem.
Right. Well, see that the jurors they didn't see it that way. Seen it as
I don't think jurors should be the ones deciding if somebody's fucking sane.
They don't deserve rehabilitation.
Exactly.
Cannibalization is only reserved for specific fucking circumstances.
Right. So
yeah, like being fucking insane. Let's cure the person so they stop eating people.
Yeah, like I agree with him. It's survival.
If you have to eat somebody to survive, that's okay. But in any other circumstance, it's not okay.
It's not.
No one's saying that it's okay. The problem is it's not okay. And but the problem is this person knew it wasn't okay. They said there's something wrong with me. And studying it, he was more willing to be examined than Kemp was.
Right.
If he was studied for the last 20, 30 years instead of sent to prison and murdered, we could have done stuff, like we may have made progress on stopping school shootings. The shit that we would have done in mental health alone off of Jeffrey Dahmer's study would be fucking.
Well,
mental health.
His mom actually, after he was murdered in prison, his mom actually wanted them to save his brain and study his brain to see if there was any abnormalities that could have caused him to be this way. And I think they said after 6 months of studying his brain, they found no abnormalities. Like, he had a perfectly normal brain. It's just his thought process was completely just
and that's why, like, his brain's useless. I needed the man. I needed that's where the science, it was psychology, not neurology that we were talking here.
Right.
And psychologically, the thing about it is the man wanted help, And in the process of helping him, we would have helped society.
Correct. But I don't think at that point they had, I mean, you have to look at the era that they were in, okay? At that point in time in 1991, you didn't hear about people cannibalizing. You didn't hear about, serial killers.
But also in 1990, like, last I recall, like, the jury's not the one that decides if someone's fucking insane. They get the court hires psychologists to do that.
They had multiple psychologists because the what was his name? George Boyd, I think it was.
Yeah, the defense is but that was on the defense that they did that. But like my point is, before they even hit a trial, they should have been determining whether he was sane enough for court.
Right. Well, they did.
Like at that point, I'm sorry. I hear, okay, yes, I know I did this. No, or yes, I know it's wrong. Like, and you're willing to agree to this. Okay, you're insane. Like that. Like, no matter how you look at it, the fact, like, everything about it was, he was, like, even down to they found all that stuff in my apartment. You know what? Any lawyer could have got that off on a illegal search thing going. Like,
well, yes and no. So, now we're going to go to his last victim, but then we're going to back up because there's still some other stuff I want to talk about. Leading up to
that's also why we're doing another segment. We're not talking about all this tonight.
Okay, well, whatever. So, leading up to his arrest, they questioned him and they asked him, why did you start to cannibalize? And his only response to that was, I was curious as to what they tasted like. And because I could not keep them because I had killed them, I felt that eating them would make them a part of me and I would never lose them. So he was eating because he wanted the part of the body that had the most meat. So he would go after the thigh, the bicep, and the heart. And he would literally chop them up, put some onions and, bell peppers, season it, whatever. And they said that for the last month before he was arrested, that he consumed about 10 pounds of human meat. And that is completely insane to me. Like, I don't know how everybody else feels, but...
Actually, no. The thing that I find that insane is because if he ate that much meat, there should have been some signs of that on his brain.
Should have been.
Should have been what?
Like, human, eating...
No, that's eating the brain, bro. You can eat the body without.
It was the brain.
But it's the chemical in the brain that causes you to go crazy.
Now.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute. Are they sure they got JD's head?
Yeah. So he actually, way before he got arrested, he started trying to do, I guess you would say, a botched lobotomy, and he wanted to try to create a sex zombie. So his first victim, he actually drilled a hole after he drugged him. He drilled a hole in the top of his head. He didn't bleed. There was no sign. Like, you could not tell that he had drilled this hole into the top of this boy's head. And he injected him with muric acid. Now, the muric acid did not immediately kill him. And this is another part where the cops failed the victims. Jeffrey Dahmer, he left. Did not think that leaving this boy alone with him, dosing him on the brain with muric acid, that he would leave the apartment. So Jeff left to go to a bar to get more beer. While he was gone, this young boy who was 14 years old left the apartment and was completely naked, walking down the street, could not talk, could barely walk, couldn't even hardly see straight. These two girls from the apartment, they found him. They called 911, cops showed up. Well, by this time, the cops showed up. Here comes Jeff walking down the street. He sees this. And he comes up with a story because, as we all know, the gay community is, being told to be respected and to stop, looking down upon them. So when Jeff approaches, he was like, what's going on? They were like, oh, we found this, undressed man, walking down the street. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And he goes, oh no, that's my boyfriend. And we've been drinking and he left the apartment. The cops, thinking, okay, they were like, well, let's see if he walks back to the apartment willingly. Because he was so drugged up, he walked back to his apartment willingly. He gave him, immediately after the cops left, he gave him another dose of muric acid, and that immediately ended up killing him right then and there. So that is another area that the cops failed. And considering the fact that this boy was 14 years old, and Jeffrey told them that he was 19, if they had have carded him, if they had have taken the proper precautions that they should have.
The boy was naked. They had no way to identify him.
It doesn't matter. They could have.
No, Dahmer wasn't naked. That was the point.
No, but identifying Dahmer wouldn't have done anything. They would have needed to identify the boy.
Yeah, no. It absolutely would have. Dahmer at this time was an adult male.
Yes, but he claimed that the boy
and
was...
he had just lied. No. Yeah, but the whole issue is you sit here, ID Dahmer, you sit here, you go, okay, let's go back and get that guy's ID just to be on the safe side. Because the person looked young as fuck. I'm sorry. The cops
and that's
let
what
a
I'm
child
saying.
walk.
The boy was 14 years old. Jeffrey Dahmer told the cops that he was 19. And the girls who found him even told the cops, they were like, I don't think he's 19. I think this is a child. Like, he does not look like he's 19.
And even at that, what's the legal drinking age?
21. Well, back then I think it was 18. I think back then it was 18.
In the 90s?
Yeah.
No, it was.
No.
Was it? Yeah, in the 90s. No, then it was 21.
That's my point. Like, the drinking age has been 21 since, like, the early 80s.
Okay, so with that right there being said, if Jeffrey Dahmer is telling them that he's been drinking, that right there should have gotten Jeffrey Dahmer in trouble for supplying alcohol to a minor, and then the minor getting in trouble for underage drinking. But they didn't do that. Why? Because it was in the gay community. He was a well-looking, sophisticated white male, and this was a male of a different ethnicity. But they didn't do anything about it, because nowadays, if you provide alcohol or tobacco to a minor, you go to jail. If you are caught underage drinking, you go to jail. That was the way it was back then, and nothing was done. That's where they failed the victims again. And I personally do not agree with the way the cops handled everything. And I personally feel that the cops that were involved, because they can go back and see all the times that the cops had interactions with him, they should have right then and there questioned the cops. Look, why didn't you look further into this?
Yeah, well, that's also another thing that where Jeffrey Dahmer comes out. Like, most other serial killers that have an arrest record, like, they didn't interact with the cops near as much as Jeffrey. Like, Jeffrey just sits here and was like, "Hi, y'all. I'm Jeffrey Dahmer. I eat people. I'm gonna take this child." Like,
pretty much.
Other ones, like, their interactions were limited to their arrests, right? And, like, Jeffrey has a lot of ones where he didn't get arrested, but he probably should have fucking been arrested. It would have saved a world of grief. Like, a little bit of investigation.
I feel like it would have saved a lot of grief. If they had have handled it properly, then I feel that a bunch of his victims would still be alive. And the weird thing is, not every person that he had sexual contact with did he kill, which was really weird, because his thing was total control. And he wanted them to stay with him. So the way he was actually, luring these people in is when he would meet them at bars, he would say, "Hey, look, I'll pay you $50 if you'll come back to my place and I can take pictures of you." Back then, $50 back then is like $200 now.
$50 make you holla.
Exactly. So these people were like, hey, $50, that gives me drinking money tomorrow. But they never seen tomorrow, unfortunately.
But hey, I think that y'all's internet is being weird because you've been like a blurry image for like the past 5.
Oh, Lord. It says I have full
So
service.
what I'm gonna let me show y'all what I see. I'm gonna be really pissed off. I go to do this and it clears up. That is how you look right now.
Who did you...
Who did you message?
Yeah, who did you send it to?
Travis.
Oh, Jesus
Wow,
Christ.
damn it. T.
You look like that too.
Oh, it's cool. Actually,
Yeah, you actually look like that to us most
okay.
of the time.
Oh, damn. Well, see, the signal's being weird right now. So we're going to go ahead and drop this, or finish this one up, and we'll continue our true crime. This will be dropping Sunday, so you'll get the conclusion of this on Wednesday.
Yep.
Huh.
So that's where we're going to stop with it right now. I still have a lot of information, and then when we drop our next episode, we're going to be talking about our final thoughts, our final comments on it, and how we feel about what he did. Which I have a lot of words for that. But that's the end of the true crime segment. So, Mystic, take it away.
And this will be the end of this episode. I have no clue what I'm calling it yet. You'll know the title when I know the title. T, you got anything, any thoughts, concerns? Didn't eat any humans while you were off screen, were you?
No, fortunately, I do not partake in the, I guess as some would call it, pleasures of the human flesh.
I like that. A new take on pleasures of the flesh. Well, fan spiriters, until next time, love, peace, and chicken.
Thanks for tuning in. Later.
Peace.
Like, whoa. I don't know why I'm telling them likewise for thinking it's for tuning in. Oh, that's not the button I want.